I've just returned from my third Bilderberg conference and, wow, that was different. The first Bilderberg I attended was in 2015 in Telfs, Austria, and the entire town was turned into a military zone. You couldn't walk 5 feet without seeing a police van, Humvee, tanks, and black helicopters. And we were tracked, detained, and searched constantly. Last year was in Dresden, Germany, and while they didn't shut down the entire town, the area surrounding the Bilderberg Hotel was clearly a militarized zone, and we really couldn't walk a block without being stopped, searched, photographed, and threatened by the police. They even searched our room while telling us when no cameras were near that they were going to physically hurt us. So when I found out 2 weeks ago that Bilderberg was going to be held in Washington District of Criminals, or just outside it in Virginia, I wasn't looking forward to going. That though was the first change. Normally Bilderberg announces the location of its meetings months in advance. This year, we found out about it from a tip from Charlie Skelton of The Guardian, who had somehow heard from an insider. The agenda too is normally released weeks in advance. This time, it was released just a few days prior, detailing the attendees and discussion points. It was held at the Marriott Hotel in Chantilly, Virginia, and as per tradition, I booked a room for the night before lockdown for myself, Luke Radowski of We Are Change, and Dan Dix of Press for Truth. There wasn't too much to note the day before lockdown. There certainly wasn't 16,000 military and police in the vicinity as it was in Austria. But as we sat down at the bar, a man who introduced himself as Patrick, head of security, welcomed us, saying, "Hello Dan, Luke, and Jeff. I just want to make sure we don't have any problems here." He then went on to tell us that his kids are big fans of ours, and even as Dan and I finished a live stream, which he sat watching live at the bar, he proclaimed, "Great show." "This is really, really weird," I said to Dan and Luke. They looked around suspiciously and nodded. As we were escorted out, with security even coming up to our room to make sure we had everything, there wasn't too much out of the ordinary. As we walked out, they were putting up the barricades and fences as security detail from numerous different companies all poured in. It turned out it wasn't much needed though. While thousands came to protest in Austria and hundreds in Germany, this year there were, well, that guy. Even InfoWars, which has been renamed InfoWhores by most people I know now, barely had any presence. Luke Radowski smirked, "This is normally their Super Bowl. Where are they?" They did end up sending 1 or 2 lackeys down, but not to protest Bilderberg per se. It was to hold a Donald Trump rally, showing just how far down the toilet bowl they've gone as shills. Apparently they didn't notice yet that Trump is an insider just like Obama and Bush, nor did they notice at least 4 of Trump's chosen people were happily attending the meeting, including his 25-year Rothschild buddy Wilbur Ross. One thing stayed mostly the same though, and that was the secrecy of the attendees. Luke Radowski put together a perfect montage of some of the world's most powerful people walking as fast as they can while trying not to make eye contact with the 3 or 4 independent media people who were there to ask questions. As usual, the mainstream fake news media made no mention of Bilderberg. That's mostly because they were actually inside the meeting getting their marching orders for the year. The Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, Bloomberg, and others were all there, but will never tell you they went. Interestingly, mostly financial media, likely getting ready for the great planned collapse, likely due this or next year. Bilderberg's old guard are all passing or about to pass, including recently gone to hell David Rockefeller and Zbigniew Brzezinski, and soon to be turning into dust with a scent of sulfur, Henry Kissinger. The new guard seems much more technocratic. Eric Schmidt, Peter Thiel, and even CERN attending for the first time this year. Commence conspiracy theories on that. So what's my take on all the changes at Bilderberg? I think it's all the result of technological change. As for there being no protesters, why physically protest in today's day and age? What does more damage to their agenda? A man getting sunburned and pepper sprayed while holding a "fuck you Kissinger" sign? Or a dank meme on the internet that might get seen by millions? On that note, one of the main topics at Bilderberg was the war on information. So expect continued censorship and removal of more anti-system memes, articles, and videos in the future. In fact, it's already well underway. What about the dramatic lack of security? Well, as I pointed out, there weren't any protesters, and there weren't even more than a handful of independent media. And InfoWars was just there to throw a Trump party. And if they've done any research into Dan, Luke, and I, anytime they attack us, it makes them look really bad. So I think they decided to play nice this year. In the internet age, the more you try to attack and censor people, the bigger their audience will get. And as for the meeting itself, even it is fairly outdated. People like Eric Schmidt probably have access to the world's best cryptographic security. And we saw when we snuck into the actual meeting room in Austria, on stage, there weren't any podiums. It's a giant, bigger than we've ever seen, flat-screen television where key players likely teleconference in under the most secure channels to give the 120 or so attendees their agenda for the year. You couldn't do that 20 years ago, which created the need for a Bilderberg conference. Now everything can be done virtually, including enslaving the entire planet under a one-world government, currency, religion, and taxation system. And that was surely the overarching topic of those in attendance this year.
You've seen the Dllar Vigilante on mainstream media trolling the fake news, and seen Jeff Berwick travel inside places like Venezuela and Cuba to expose the truth about what's happening in those socialist paradises. To get even more, make sure to subscribe to the Dllar Vigilante newsletter to receive 2 full 30-plus page issues from the Dllar Vigilante each month, plus market alerts on precious metals, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and gold mining stocks by going to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. The Dllar Vigilante newsletter earned subscribers a 99% return in 2016 and is on track for more great gains this year. Click on the link in the notes below or go to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe to find out more.